So we have Shooper Nova, and this is a new roguelite bullet hell that's available on Steam, and at the moment it's got a launch discount. It's going to cost you a little under $5, so around $6 or $7. And this isn't like your typical bullet hell roguelite, I'm going to say like a survivor based game. Those usually have you walking around, collecting XP, leveling up, and so on and so forth. What this one does is you choose your difficulty, so there's a bunch of different difficulties available. You start off at difficulty 1. In order to unlock the other difficulties, you need to complete a run at that difficulty level. And then you choose your initial component, so that is the start-in weapon that you're going to be using. And then you have initial tech that you are going to start with. And these are basically going to give you extra buffs as you're playing. And not only that, these tech pieces have enhancements that you can unlock by completing runs whilst having that specific tech piece activated. So what you do once you have chosen your difficulty and everything is you get into wave 1. And this is going to have you clearing enemies from wave 1 all the way up to wave 20 when a boss comes in and you have to deal with that final wave to get completion of that run. So what you have on this is you have a circle. This is like your circular fortress as they call it. And what you need to do is when you unlock new weapons and there's different gadgets and things, they are classed as components. So what you do is you start off on wave 1, you collect some gold coins. I'm going to say coins. They're like these diamond things that show up. They typically come in like bundles of 8. You shoot those down instead of aiming for the enemies. You get some gold that goes into like your vault, and then you can use that at the end of the wave, because at the end of every wave you go to a shop, and the shop is where you're going to purchase new like gadgets and components, being weapons and things. And you're also going to get buffs like extra fire damage. You'll get like extra penetration count with your weapons. So say for an example, you're using a flamethrower, you've got penetration, it's essentially going to bounce off an enemy, or sometimes even just go through them because it's penetration. So what you do is you use your gold coins, you get extra components. Once you have filled up your component ring, you are going to have to put the new things you buy into your storage. You can even get buffs to increase the recycling value of the things that you've got in the storage. Or you can save the things you've got there so that you can use them later on. And you get upgrades for all of your weapons and stuff like within your component ring. So say you start the game with a shotgun, you go to the shop after wave 1, you get another level 1 shotgun. You're going to either have 2 shotguns that are level 1, so you're going to be able to shoot at multiple angles. Or what you can do is you can upgrade one of your shotguns to a level 2 and it combines the 2 level 1s into the level 2. So you're going to have to come up with a strategy in order to make it to the final wave and take down the boss. Your main focus in that final wave is to deal with the boss. You're going to get a load of like trash mobs essentially that come in, and they are going to deal a lot of damage to you, and they'll deal it rather quick. So if you focus on the boss, the moment you defeat the boss, all of the trash mobs are essentially cleared as well. That is wave clear. And you can get health regen, which is going to help with your survivability. And a really, really cool feature this game has is something called Rewind. It's basically an extra life. What it does is if you die during a wave, you get 1 rewind per wave. What that's going to do is send you back to the start of that wave and you get an extra go at it. So it gives you the chance to kind of change your strategy up a little bit. If you really struggled, you might have an extra weapon in your storage. You might want to replace like a shield component with another weapon for the second run of that wave to see if you can do any better. And that's pretty much all you do in this game. You just go through the different difficulties, you upgrade your weapons, you get stronger and stronger, you unlock new tech, and it's all about finding those different synergies with certain weapons. Like you could do a run where you've got 5 different weapons shooting at all different angles so you can clear out enemies very quick. Like you can crowd control with it. Or another strategy you could do is just take one weapon, try and level it up as much as possible, and just have like a stupid, crazy amount of power coming from one angle of your circle. And I'm going to say this is quite easy. It only took me a couple of runs to get through the first difficulty. Obviously, it's going to get harder and harder as you progress through the difficulties, but some games that have multiple difficulties can seem quite tough from the very beginning. This one actually gives you a little bit of room for error, especially because you have quite high max health. Some of the bigger enemies still only deal 1 damage to you. They bounce off your circle, like your circular fortress, and they bounce quite far away, like when they hit you and stuff, to give you quite a big window to try and kill them the second time round. And then you've got the health regen and stuff as well. And I'm going to say this was a breath of fresh air. I absolutely loved the genre. But sometimes when you're playing roguelite after roguelite, bullet hell after bullet hell, they can become quite boring because not much has changed within the games you're playing. So say for an example, going from Vampire Survivors to Brotato to Soulstone Survivors to Jotun Slayer Hordes of Hell to Nordic, can't remember, what is it, Tribes of Midgard or something like that? I can't remember exactly what the game's called, but going back and forth through like the survivor type games where you're actually running around as a character, leveling up and so on and so forth, this was totally different. I like that you're limited with your components. I like you can level the things up. I like that you can choose your starting weapon. Sometimes you might want to do a run because not only that, you get this, I think it's like a crisis seed. So you have 3 different choices before you even choose your difficulty and stuff. You might go into a round where you've got 10% extra burn damage, 10% less arc damage. Or you could have 5% extra like damage resistance, but 5% enemy health, or like something like that. Just they're random examples. But you basically get these buffs and stuff through Crisis before you even choose your difficulty and stuff. So there's quite a lot to this game. There's a bunch of different difficulty settings. There's like a few different weapons and stuff you can choose from. And then you've got the tech, which is going to benefit your runs even further. And as I said, it's all about getting those synergies, choosing your strategy, making it to wave 20, defeating that boss, and progressing through the different difficulties. Because not only that, you'll get these points for completing runs. You get them when you fail runs as well, but when you complete a run, you get 100. And then what you can do with those points is put them into either initial coins, so you'll start with more coins, which is going to help you out in the shop, or you can get damage amplification, which is going to obviously increase your damage, but it's all like they're permanent upgrades with those, like, I think they're called crisis points. They're going to be for permanent upgrades that you can start each and every run with. And then like your weapon levels, all of your components, your items from the shop and everything, they all reset like a typical roguelite. And to answer the question, is it worth buying SHOOPER NOVA? 100% yes. I've had a lot of fun with this. It's a cheap game, it's not going to set you back loads of money, and there's hours and hours worth of fun to come from it. And what we're going to do on that note is leave that video there. I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed it.